What's going on, guys? Greek Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about Paul George, and is he a serious MVP candidate? Can he really have the chances of really winning the MVP rather than just being in the discussion? Now, as we all know, Paul George has been on a great tear as of late, dropping in good points and having a 47-point triple-double going out there. Now, of course, we know the main candidates that we're definitely looking at, which is definitely probably James Harden at the front running of that MVP conversation, and then you also have Giannis, who also would be ahead of Paul George at this moment. But right here we're looking at his numbers at 28.7 points per game, second in the league, career high 8 rebounds in 4.1 assists per game, and leading the league with 2.3 steals per game. So obviously putting up great numbers with the offense and defensive end of the basketball court. Now, that's usually the main reason why people are definitely looking at Paul George as a candidate here. He is, of course, I believe, a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, which obviously helps you out in an MVP candidacy, especially when you're a great offensive player as well. And of course, the one major thing that I think that really helps Paul George is his efficiency from scoring. Now, Paul George, obviously, we know James Harden can score the ball, averaging around 36 points per game, but Paul George shooting at 41.3%, a career high from the three-point line, and 45.4% from the field. So he's obviously putting up the numbers in a very efficient way. The other way that I believe that this also can help him is, of course, where he is as far as the standings of his team. Currently third in the Western Conference as of the making of this video, and is also only 3.5 games behind the Golden State Warriors for that number 1 spot in the Western Conference. And I believe if we're looking at a situation where they are the number 1 seed, he's putting up these numbers. And of course, I believe in order to do this, he's going to have to put up slightly even better numbers than what he's been putting up as far as his career average, probably somewhere around the realms of where he's playing at right now, as he's been just on this huge tear, especially scoring the basketball as well. Whenever we look at the fact that Paul George and Russell Westbrook just connecting together very well on and off the court, just showing the fact that this team really, despite the fact that we really had standards for a team like this, and this is the major part that I really have to say could help him, is the fact that many people thought that the Oklahoma City Thunder's team underachieved last year, and really this year is looking like they're overachieving, especially if they retrieve that number 1 spot like I mentioned. This is, of course, going to be the what if there, of course. And the other thing that I really have to mention for the James Harden side of it is going to be the fact that we all did have a standard that the Rockets were going to do good, that despite the fact that they did lose some players that we definitely knew was going to affect them, we did not see them coming off to the slow start that they did have, which is why James Harden was not in the MVP conversation as much at the beginning of the season. Now, of course, he's going on this amazing run with 30 points per game for every single game for the last over 30 games as far as the make of this video as well. So we obviously have to look at that as a standard right here. Where do the Rockets land? Where does the Thunder land? I think that that's really the main point of whether or not Paul George can actually win the MVP now. Now, obviously, I think the fact it's going to be difficult for the Thunder to do this, and therefore I don't see Paul George winning the MVP, of course, with the amazing mark that James Harden is going on for this year. So I really think the fact that the reasons what I mentioned could be a possibility of how he could win it, but in reality, I think the fact that the situation with James Harden is just so much that I don't see him not winning the MVP for this year. But guys, I really would like to know what your guys' thoughts are on MVP. Who's your pick for MVP? Like I mentioned, I think the fact that Giannis could also be thrown up there if you want to put him in there, but it's really, to me, James Harden at that front spot, and really he'd have to fall off or his team to lose that chances. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.